winning a few awards at the Totton Drama Festival with this crowd from RSCOYT performing Butcher Butcher Burning Bright had provided me with a pretty picture perfect end to my youth theatre career as a director, which had been going on, if you count what I was doing at school, from about 1975. But there was an even better picture perfect finale in store for me that I wasn't aware of. I left OYT, RSC OYT early because of my father's ill health, and sadly he passed away. So my situation changed. I wasn't ever planning to go back, and in fact I'd set up an opportunity for the youth theatre members to join another company in Southampton, which they did, and purely just to be supportive, I went to watch the production, and it was amazing. It was an absolutely stunning production. And afterwards, I went to chat to them, and I was expecting that just to be a little conversation of kind of meeting them again and so on. And it became very clear very quickly that they really wanted to reform RSCOYT. And I have to say at this point that people have been asking me, do you miss youth theatre? And the honest answer was, no, not really. I was kind of ready to carry on doing other different things and was quite busy, was very happy. And but I'd really enjoyed RSCOYT. So there was kind of, I wasn't missing it, but I wasn't kind of really desperate to have an opportunity to join it again. But as the conversation went on, I said to the young people, well, I don't know what we'd do. And they said, oh, we'll do anything. And I can remember that phrase, we'll do anything. And as soon as one of them said that, I remembered the situation I was in with this play, Can You Hear Me, Major Tom? Which had kind of been, we'd put so much work into making it happen. Lewis had directed a wonderful version of it. And then suddenly the backbone of the play had been removed because the person who was involved in that was given a better offer. And I had no longer had a play, so it had gone. And I had just given up on it. I thought, well, there was no way it could happen. As chance would have it, that night I was off. So I walked away from them thinking, well, I wonder if we could do that. And I can remember saying to the young people, I said, well, even a play about David Bowie? And they said, yeah, we'll do anything. And I went off, and I happened that evening to be with Paul Ibbott in his car, driving to a wedding party. And I talked about what had happened to me that afternoon, and he said, I'd love to be involved. And we talked about how we could do this. And the other problem with the play was that we'd got copyrighted music from David Bowie, but how could we do a David Bowie play without music? Now, one of my other friends, Brian Price, had done years before, which I hadn't seen, but I'd heard the songs from it, a musical about being a Beatle fan, and I thought, well, maybe we could do that, and maybe Paul could be involved in creating some music for that. He was very up for it. I think he had just retired, so was looking for something new to do as well. And so we said, okay, well, we'll go into it as two of us. And at that wedding party, Cat Chivers was there. We spoke to Cat, and she said, yes, I'd love to be involved in doing costumes for that. So Cat became involved as well. So gradually the whole OYT group was kind of gathering around without any of the youngsters from RSC OYT knowing what had happened. And Alicia was moving off to university, so she knew she couldn't be involved. But from the original OYT play, Kate was free to come and be assistant director and was taking a year off after her A-levels before going to drama school. She really wanted to be involved, but was going off travelling, so knew she wouldn't be able to stay the full course of the production. So we had Kate on board. When she went off travelling, Amy Webb said, I'll come in and be the assistant director when she goes, because she'd just finished her drama degree. So we had all these older, experienced people coming to support. So we were getting a whole team together. And again, from Oakland's youth theatre back in the day. I mean, Matt Sturrock came and said, well, I'll come and help you with the finances to set up a new group. So Matt, Danny's brother, came in. He also had technical expertise, which was just as well, because the person, Ollie Pope, who we thought was going to be able to do lights, suddenly wasn't available because he'd booked a holiday on the dates the performance happened. So we brought in Amy Barnett, two Amys. And Amy was from the more recent days of Oasis Youth Theatre. And so we'd got a full team, and we managed to put the youth theatre back together again, invite them in, have a meeting, say to them, this is what we'll do. Are you happy about this? So I had a little bit of the summer holidays to try and figure out, I think from then till October, how am I going to sort the play out? So in the play I had my story. So that was easy. That was easy to adapt and sort out. We had Jasmine, who was a friend of a friend's from Milton Keynes, who was a huge David Bowie fan, and she was very happy to remain involved. We also had Wendy, who had, by this point, managed to raise, or she was on the cusp of raising enough money to redo the bandstand. It was nearly over £100,000. So the bandstand that Bowie had played on back in the 1960s was going to be renovated. Amazing job, Wendy. Now, Wendy also runs the Wild Eyed Boy from Free Cloud site, and she had put me in touch with the backbone of the play person originally, and we needed someone who knew David, and she put me in touch with Keith Christmas. Now, Keith was the guitarist with David Bowie on what became the Space Oddity album. It was the Phillips David Bowie album. And Keith agreed to speak. So it was wonderful. We now had someone providing the backbone of the play to be a musician as well. So we had a take on his career from a musician who had been involved with him. And he was involved in all sorts of different bits that I wasn't aware of. So he was involved in the Space Oddity era. He was also involved in Diamond Dogs and one of the other eras as well. And he also had his own story, and an interesting guy. George, who was involved in the youth theatre, was also wanting to be involved. So we had a slightly older, different sort of person who would play Keith. So I had the backbone of a great production. And it was now a matter of just finding a couple of other people. David Bowie Glamour. Now, he's a guy who had set up this amazing fanzine thing. And these fanzines, he's created 7 of them, included included a review of the original production. So that's how I came to be involved with David Bowie Glamour. Wonderful, and he's just got such a big following on Twitter. So he agreed to tell his story, and he introduced me to Helen Green, who is a wow artist. She did this design, which we used as the poster, and she also did the design that became the cover of the book. And Helen told us her story of being a David Bowie fan and his influence on her. And so we had the whole thing in place. There's David Bowie Glamour's Twitter page, and they also wrote a review of This Is For You. So, you know, they're very supportive to us. So I worked hard on getting that together, and there's the poster that was to be done by Helen. We needed one more person, and the one more person added a magical ingredient. I'll tell you a little bit more about him, but we also told this guy's story. And I bet you're wondering who he is. Yeah, this was after David Bowie had died, so it isn't him. I'll tell you more about that in the next episode, when I met with RSCOYT, told them of our ideas to get Can You Hear Me Major Tom put on. Can You Hear Me Major Tom put on, and that was our plan to do between October and July of the following year.